Okay, we're done with mice. Let's talk about keyboard and how to use and capture keyboard events. So before we talk about keyboard, we have to talk about first responder. So when user clicks on some button on the keyboard, the application forwards this event to the key window, to the window which is active now. The window forwards it to the active view. And each window has an outlet, and it's called first responder. You probably saw it. And it always points to one view which is set as the first responder. And that responder will react to that keyboard event. So when first responder is changed, it's not changed immediately. First, the view that is going to become the first responder is asked whether it accepts the first responder status or not. And it will reply with a Boolean yes or no. And we need this because some views are not really made for keyboard events. So if it's a text field, it should probably say yes. But if it's a scroll view, it's not really working with the keyboard. So actually working with the arrows. Okay, bad example. But you can think of a view which is not made for keyboard events. So we can say no. If it says yes, then the current responder is asked if it wants to resign the status. And again, sometimes you don't want to resign the status of the first responder. Let's say you have multiple text fields and you have to put your name in the first one and the phone number in the second one. If you didn't put the name on, it will say no for resigning because, well, it says you have to put the name first. You cannot proceed to the next field without putting the name. And if it says yes, then the responder is actually changed. So the NS responder has some methods that you have to implement if you want to answer to those questions. So it accepts first responder, resign first responder, become first responder, and for the keyboard you have the key down, you get the event, you get the key up, the event, and some flags which are changed. And those are again the conditional flags like shift, command, alt, control, function, etc. So those are the events for the keyboard. You can get the NS string of characters. You can get the Boolean of if the key is repeated by the user. You can get the single code, the single button, and that would be the short, unsigned short integer, the key code. And again, you can get the modifier flags, and you can get the name of the flag. Not the name, but the code of the flag. So let's use this. Let's create a new application and kind of understand how those responders work. So I created a blank new application and called it letter typer 2. So what I want to do now is, first of all, let's just create a new class. And I'm going to say new file because I want to create a custom view again. And I'm going to call it big letter view. And it inherits from NS view. So next, usual stuff, create. Okay, so let's go to my window zip file, the window, and I want to put the custom view. So let's do that, custom view here. And let's create two text fields. So text field like this. And another one like this. So that's okay. First thing to do, I want actually to be able to tab between all those three. My custom view, which will be big letter view, will accept keyboard events, as well as the text field, because, well, text field does it by default. And I want to be able to use the tab key on my keyboard to go between those views and change the responder when I do it. So I have the good thing here. I'm going to control click on my first one. So when I tab here, I want to move the cursor to the next text field. So I'm going to control click, and here I have the next key view, and I can say, well, that should be the text field. And I'm going to do the same for this one. Going to control click and say next key view should be my custom view. And the custom view, control click, next key view, this. So now I have a circle, and I can tab in a circle like this. So I have to say which would be the initial first responder, which view should be the first responder when I create, when I run my application. So I'm going to control click on my window, and here I have the outlet called initial first responder. You hope I see it. So let's do this. I want the custom view to be initial first responder. Okay, so let's change this custom view class to my what I call it big letter view. So this is fine. Now in my big letter view, I want few variables. First one is the color. I want it to change the background color. And another one is the string. And this is the string which will be generated each time I hit something on the keyboard, while the big letter view is the first responder. So I'll call it just string. And I want two properties. First one is, well, again, I'm going to talk about this next time, but this one has a strong relationship, and it will be NS color, biggie color. And another one actually need to be copy and a string called string. Okay. Again, I think in this version I don't really need to create those, because the property itself does create the not only the getters and setters, but of course the variable itself. So, but this is not a mistake. Let's just keep it with it. Now in my M file, I first of all have incomplete implementation, but I think, oh yeah. First is I want in my init with frame, the initialization code, to set some background color. So let's just say biggie color equals NS color blue color, something like this. And the string by default is 0. Sorry, just empty string. So something like so. So now let's create getters and setters for two of my properties. I want to say void set biggie color. This of course says, well, new, let's go with new color, and say bg color equals new color. And the only reason I'm doing this is I want to do this self set needs display yes. The getter is simple, NS color, bg color, just returns bg color. And let's do the same for the string. The setter is set string and new string, let's call it. And here I have string equals new string. Okay, and of course the NS string returns us a string. So yeah, returns. This is fine. Okay, so I have getters and setters. let's go to my draw rectangle here. This is the default method that was generated because this is a view and it inherits from NSView, and I want to do the following. First, let's create a new rectangle. Call it bounds, and this would be the bounds of our view. Let's set the background color. And again, let's do this Bezier path and fill the rectangle called bounds. I called it just bound, but it's fine. Okay, let's check now. If I have self window, first responder, so if I have something in there and it is equal to myself, so if the first responder right now is the big letter view, then yeah, what did I do? It should be like this. Self like this, like this. No, what is going on? Yeah, come on. This is just bad. Yeah. So first I want, when I change between, this is the thing, when I change to a big letter view, I want to create this border so I can see this is currently the first responder. So I'm going to use NS color. And again, it's doing this, driving me crazy. Keyboard focus indicator color. So I want to indicate that this is currently the focus of the keyboard. Then NS Bezier path is used to that indication. So I want to make it thick, set default line width, and make it something like 5.0. And I want it to be, the stroke to be around my bounds. So I'm going to say NS Bezier path stroke rectangle to stroke the bounds. Okay, so another thing, useful thing to do is to set the default behavior to accept the transparent thing. So let's say boolean, and we have this method in NSView. I'm going to rewrite it and say return yes. So it will always say opaque yes. Okay. So now I have to implement those first responder methods. So you remember I said there are 3 methods: accepts first responder, resigns first responder, and become first responder. In all of them I should say yes, because there's no condition. I want to change the responder every time I hit the tab key. So I need to create 3 methods like this. First is accepts first responder, and just return yes. And I want to do the same for resigns first responder, and I'm going to just say become first responder, and for all of them I'm going to say yes, yes, like this. Okay, so now I have to, the last thing to do is I want to work with those tabs and key events. So first thing is when my keyboard generated the key down event. So we have the key down method, and we got the event from that method. And here's what happens. When I get that method, the view forwards it to the interpret key event method. And I want to do the same. I want to say self interpret key events and create a new array called nsArray, array with object, single object, not s, and pass it, pass it the event. Okay, like this. Another method we need is insert text, insert string, and just going to say self set string. This is the string that we created, and get it insert string, this one. Okay. And lastly, we need to handle the tab key, and this is where I change the first responder. And I actually have that connection. So all I have to do is change to the next view. And I'm going to say insert tab. And I'm going to ask myself and my window to select key view following view. And this will just ask the window to move the first responder to the next view and the order we created ourselves. So this should work. Let's run it. Okay, let's open this thing here. So yeah, the thing that I forgot is to put the console output every time I change my my string. So here, set where I have it, insert key down here. So here, let's just say nslog and just do this. Yeah, I actually should do it, better do it here, because now I have the string. Insert string. What is wrong? Yeah, that. Stop, rerun. So now I'm typing D, F, H, G, and you can see it here, because right now the first responder is my blue view, and every time I hit something on the keyboard, it accepts that event and handles it. Now if I hit tab, it moves the first responder to this one, and now I can type something in here, just the usual text field. If I hit tab again, I'm going to the next one, and again I can just do whatever. And if I go tab again, now my big letter view is the responder. Okay, so last thing to do is probably, let's do the insert back the tab, because when I hit tab it's fine, but I want to go back in this order. So where I had insert tab, let's implement almost the same method called insert back tab. And I'm going to do the same, self window, select key view, but we have preceding view. That will just make us go back. And if I run it, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And if I go shift tab, I go back. So tab, shift tab, tab, shift tab. All right. So this is basically how you handle mouse events and keyboard events. And that's it. And lecture 12 is ended. Goodbye. See you next time.